if you was truly a man, I know you're a Marine, I respect you for that. I know you were a cop for 35 years, I respect you for that. But you know you're not telling the truth when it comes to Arie.
Well, what do you think, Pablo? This is nice, huh? To have a park named after Burrell McDonald Park, city of Compton. I didn't know till you told me a little while ago.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
It's
and
been there about
that's
30
all.
years.
30 years?
Yeah.
Holy cow, man!
I mean, renamed about 30 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember the park. It was West Park.
Yeah, it was West Park.
Yeah, and yeah, it's cool, man, that they did this. You know, it's solid, and it's just good memorabilia about them. You know, and yeah, looks really cool, man. I'm blessed to see this. Yeah, I just came up here. You know, moved up to the Northwest and met up with my buddy Pablo here, and he told me about the park up here. They renamed it. I didn't know that. It's been 30 years, man. You know, you just want to get away from it all, and you know, you're mad, you're in disgust of the corruption of the rights and the Taylors, and you just you get fed up, and then when people are hounding you down to interview and want to talk to you about the corruption of the rights and you know and the police department, you go, wow, man. When you're in it and you're working in it, you don't see it much. You're like, because you're me, I was gullible, just doing my job, and then you find out, wow, man, they had some eyeballs looking at them. The FBI, and some other county agencies, even before they were taken over by the county. After the death of
courtesy of Pablo, who initiated it.
yeah,
They got rid of me after that.
yeah, you know,
I don't know. Well, they're only 8, 10 years. I don't know. I don't remember.
about that.
Yeah, but
Officially 10 years, after all the retirement.
I think they retired me like a year and a half after I actually stopped working there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. 8 to 10 years. I don't know.
13 years.
Or I don't remember anyway.
Yeah. It's
too old, man. I can't remember anything.
And and my partner and I and Pablo here, the other day we were talking at his house, and I remember coming into the city and walking into homes or driving up into the parks and buying dope, man, and doing hand to hands. And they asked me, "Hi, Arie, how did you do that, man? How what the heck?" I go, "Man, I was just stupid, young, didn't realize." I don't think any police departments do that now. They just do the investigations and write up a search warrant. But it's, yeah, it was tough, man. It got me to drink, got me to smoke. Just a tough time. You start finding out some crooked things about cops, and you go, holy crap, man. And all the stuff you see and hear and learn about, disgusting, a lot of things that they've done. But yeah, to come here, we were at the memorial site earlier, and Pablo tells me, dude, they named West Park after Burrell McDonald. I said, what? I don't remember that. Geez. And yeah, you come out here.
Hey guys, just walk to the shade. I'm getting hot.
Yeah.
Which way
Okay.
you want to go?
Yeah, let's go that way. I know I come back, and the most, the thing I miss most is the the sunshine. So
yeah, Compton. For me, it was nice. I mean, I was born. I was conceived in Compton. I heard you say I wasn't actually born. I was literally born on Hope Street in downtown LA at John Wesley Hospital, which no longer exists. There's a children's center there now. I was literally born on Hope Street. What a trip! And but yeah, I was conceived in Compton, raised in Compton. And because of that, it's like maybe because like God used the conception points, or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, when people like Compton's like my heart. I mean, I can't. It's not something I chose. It's like I could live 50 years somewhere and I'll always be from Compton. I mean, it's wherever wherever you grow up, that's where. I mean, you can't help it. It's like saying I don't want you to be my mother and father. You can say it all day, but it's not going to be accurate.
No.
So that's my thing.
That's your home.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
Kevin was from Compton. Jimmy was from.
Santa Rosa.
Oh yeah, there you go. Santa Rosa, California, which is like Northern California.
Yeah.
Jimmy was a great kid. He's got a brother and a mother. I think his mom still living?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
His dad passed about 20 years ago. He got a brother. I won't give his name, but he knows who he is. Their mom is tough as nails and also a sweetheart.
Loving mom.
I'm gonna have to make her a phone call one day, or maybe pay a visit. Maybe we can meet over there.
That's a good halfway point.
I don't have her number.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, so yeah. And Jimmy, he was like a star. I think he was a star quarterback at Santa Rosa High in the '90s, or was it '90s or '80s?
No.
The '80s.
Late '80s, early '90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that, but one time, I was over near, not far from your dad's old shop.
Yeah.
But there's one street west of Willowbrook. I forgot what street, but one street west of Willowbrook, just south of Rosecrans. We were chasing this guy that they did a drive-by, and they bailed out of the car, and I started chasing the dude. I usually back then, I was. What's that?
Oh, you used to fly. I remember.
Yeah, not fly no more.
You
Fly
were
in a
fast,
wheelchair.
dude.
No more flying. Grounded forever. Museum.
We had a good time. Yeah.
Anyway, he was running. And this is not a racial thing, but we live in a country where people. And I was like, when it was all over, God, I was like, man. And the backup units, they go, man, Jimmy, because Jimmy was a reserve at the time, and he was going to Cal State Long Beach somewhere.
Yeah, Cal State Long Beach,
I think
man.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
So I talked to him in the car, and he didn't say nothing about his star. But we got in this chase, and usually I leave everybody back.
Yeah.
Behind.
Oh, yeah.
Even the black boys or Negroes or whatever you want to call them, I'll smoke them, right?
Even the Mexicans, like myself.
Yeah, and then
we were holding a burrito.
Jimmy
at the
was
same
like
time running.
right here. I mean, and he was kind of like he's probably like 5'9", but he was stocky. He didn't look like a runner, but I didn't know he used to be
He was fit.
Star quarterback.
Yeah.
And then they were making jokes. They go, Mason, that white boy was right behind you. Right behind you. I go, yeah, he was. I was confused too. And then, when all the what the hell? I said, wait a minute, man. So anyway, when I found out that he was, I said, oh, which was years later, but maybe a year later. And I said, man, Jimmy is that now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I said, man, Jimmy could have probably run me down.
Well, he was fast, man.
Yeah.
And on it, I mean, he was very
strong too.
Strong, yeah.
Strong. He's just solid all the way down. Yeah. So they both were great guys, and they deserve all the respect because they're basically policemen. Are like I was a policeman. I was also in the armed forces, but policemen are essentially the domestic army of the nation, and they died. They passed in the line of duty. Like Arnie was saying earlier, we just went to a funeral for one of our colleagues, Skyles, who's amazing. This guy, his grandfather, Alfred Skyles Jr., you guys should look him up. And Alfred Skyles. That's Alfred Skyles Jr., he worked with us. He was one of our mentors. His father, Alfred Skyles Sr., you can Google him. That family is just full of warriors. And I mean, through and through, like spiritual warriors. They're all cops and stuff like that. And even the ones that ain't cops, they're tough, tough family.
Yeah.
And they were saying that his father, the Alfred Skyles Sr., Al's father, I believe, World War II, when the U.S. Army needed help fighting the Japanese, because the Japanese were kicking butt and taking names back then. Uh, his father was one of the leaders of the rebels
Right.
that pushed the Japanese out of there. Do you know anybody like that? I don't know anybody like that.
I don't. And I didn't know it until then.
Literally a
And
family of
Al kept
supermen
it,
and
you know,
women.
quiet,
And his wife, we saw her,
Yeah,
Alba.
Alba.
Yeah,
Beautiful lady,
yeah,
you know.
great man.
But Al was raised here in Compton, went to Compton High.
Yeah, they were
And
saying that.
him and his two brothers,
I think they
Bernie and
said
Gerard.
his grandfather, one of the rebels that pushed the Japanese out.
Yeah.
After that, the U.S. granted him citizenship. I think they said it took like 3 or 4 weeks. They put on a boat and they landed in the port of Los Angeles, and then they were living in Compton. They were from Compton. I didn't even know that, and I'm from Compton. Or maybe he told me and I forgot.
We knew, but it's just like it goes to the side, man. It goes in,
Yeah, there's
yeah,
a tin can in there now. The memory's gone. I mean, the long term memory is pretty good, but the short term memory, oh, forget it. For me, anyway. Pray for my memory. Everybody, pray for Pablo's memory, please,
Yeah, you know.
to come back.
And to go to that, like I said earlier, and be there with Pablo and some of the guys you haven't seen in years, um, and it just it's a beautiful thing because his family behind him are all great people of the community, cops, detectives, doing something within the community. So it's a very well loved family, and they care, And it was great to see that the luncheon and at the funeral. I owe him a lot of gratitude. My father, like I said earlier, used to cut his hair at Rogers Barbershop here in Compton, and that's how I had met him. I was just a little kid, I think I wasn't even 10 years old, running around in that barbershop. And then my father opened up his shop in Linwood called Arnie's Touch. And a lot of the cops started heading on over there and getting their hair cut. And Compton, I remember Pablo and I used to ride together on Graveyard. And my father used to cut my hair still. And Pablo had to go into one barber shop here in Compton off Rosecrans or
My
Compton.
barbershop?
Yeah, you had.
Prices. It's closed now. It's like
Okay.
Compton and Central.
There, yeah. So we walk on in there and wearing uniform. Pablo says, I got to get a haircut, man. I said, all right. So I go on in there. Pablo gets in and I sit down and they start working on Pablo. And black dude looks at me and says, hey, you need a haircut? You need a cut? I go, no, I'm cool. And he says, well, we cut your kind of hair too. I said, damn. you know, I started laughing, man. And I go, no, I'm cool. I just got a trim, man. He goes, yeah, you look sharp. That's good.
Man,
But it was fun. I mean, it was. I know he didn't mean it bad. He was just joking with us.
yeah,
Having a
yeah,
good
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
It's
know.
all good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Arnie was like, I'm sure everybody's familiar with a Head and Shoulders commercial with Troy Polamalu, our SC, our beloved brother from Southern
USC.
California,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. What was it, Pittsburgh Steeler linebacker? He's known for his hair. I'm like, Arnie was the Troy Polamalu of Compton PD, and still is because it
Oh,
doesn't exist anymore. It's now defunct. But I used to always tease him about his hair
yeah.
because
Yeah.
I said, look at his hair, man. Who has better hair than Arnie?
It was good to see our old partner sitting in his backyard, just reminiscing about a lot of things, and he led us on. Uh, uh, he was just he's a solid dude, man. You know, and to get the time with him and Pablo and I, hey man, it was great, and to catch up on a lot of things. Kevin was a loving, kind man. Some things we didn't agree with what he did out in the field, but that was his way of policing, man. You know, and but you can count on him, man. You know, one story is I was a Lincoln unit. That means I was driving alone one day on PM shift. So I went down 210 East Johnson, pulled this car over, And I don't know. I said, for Lincoln, told him where I was out at. And Kevin right away caught on, and he said, rolling. And he started rolling. The guy got out. I said, hey, man, get back in your car. Just sit there for a minute. So this is Pablo back in the day.
What?
What a handsome devil that
Let me
is,
see.
huh?
Let me see. Negro feo.
No.
Negro bonito.
Yeah.
Negro feo bonito. Oh, yeah.
Come on now.
Hey, hold on. See,
Yeah.
I actually did have hair. That's evidence.
Yeah.
It's
See
gone
that?
now, Jack. Look. Voila.
But I'll tell you, man. But when Kevin showed up, Kevin, he showed up on my call, because I was just linking you and him and his partner. Man, because the guy started talking crap, and Kevin we tuned him up, man, and then took him into jail because he didn't have a license, and we stored his car, and you know, and we kicked him loose at the station. But yeah, man, Kevin was that way. He was always keen on, helping.
He was in a
It,
church choir. Kevin was an angel, man. He was doing his dream job. I mean, he's literally the kid in a candy store, or the kid that you remember back in the day. They would bring the police and the fire department to your elementary school, and all the little kids wanted to be astronauts, police, fire, or nurse. Kevin's the kid that they let turn on the horn in the car, and
he was hooked.
he was
He
hooked,
was hooked.
man.
Yeah.
And he told me once that he wanted to be a policeman so bad that if it didn't happen, he was. I mean, it got so. I said, Kevin, don't use your imagination. I said, Kevin, don't say that. He goes, no, I had to be a policeman. I had to be. If I couldn't be a policeman in my home city, I could.
Mm-hmm.
He figured it
Yeah.
out. See, he's a smart guy.
Well, he became.
I mean, no, we're just talking in general terms.
Yeah, but he became a what do you call it, man?
It was just do or die for him to be a cop.
But he was a what do you call it? Cadet.
Yeah, he was a cadet.
He was a cadet first.
His brother played professional basketball for the Boston Celtics.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, his name's Clark Burrell Jr. You can look him up. The whole family's nice. He's got a brother, Reggie. He used to sing, I think, for Gladys Knight. The whole family's just sweet and talented. It's unbelievable, man. It's just like you can't even believe one family could have so much talent. And it's like it's like the family you look at. And it's like if they wanted to be world famous, they could, but they don't care about that stuff. They're just tight, like your family and
Yeah.
my family. Like Arnie is basically my family because we were brothers in arms, and we're brothers and soul brothers too.
That's right, man.
And and that's the way it is. In places like this. And his father was a cop in Compton, so he's second generation. So was my father. And like we mentioned Al Skyles before, look up Alfred Skyles Senior, people. It's on the internet. The story. It's us, man. The families, my family's like that too. My father was my father. My grandfather was World War II, Army. I was Air Force. We got Marine. The whole armed forces in my family. So it's just things like that where it's like almost like God put you together, or you guys are always been together, and you're just coming in a new lifetime. Like I don't feel like when I met Arnie, I didn't feel like he was a stranger to me. I felt
No,
like I knew him.
we
It's like,
lost contact for all them years, and then he called me one day out of the blue, and I was like shocked, man. I was like, wow, what's up, man? And started recollecting on a bunch of stuff, and he was telling me, hey, they're telling me that you're living large like Scarface. I said, what? I go, man, fuck them dudes. Excuse my language. Because my whole story, and it'll come out. They thought I was, I had taken some dope and money and was slinging out here, and and you couldn't trust anybody there at the station. I didn't know who to talk to, and then Pablo got the story, and he was like, nah,
15 years later.
yeah. He said, nah,
That's bullshit.
that's bullshit,
I'm
man.
sorry. I'm sorry
Yeah.
for my cursing, but I was like, that's bullshit. I said, I don't believe it. I know that family. I went to his house every time when Rudy was. I'm sorry, when his
Yeah, my
son
son
and
and
his children. Every time I make sure I go to the house and deliver a gift and show some respect. and things like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the guys you think that are close to you and that you knew, um, they weren't, man. They weren't. They were the ones that were telling him, "Oh, Arnie was, he stole, dope and this and that." And I said, "Oh, man, it's far from the truth. Far from the truth."
Yeah,
And
but just pause there. That guy.
what were you gonna say, Ray?
About what? Oh well, this idiot. I'm sorry. One of our former colleagues, who I thought was a cool guy, just like I used to think. I didn't know. He called me out of the blue one day and asked me for a favor. The favor was, I gotta say this the right way. The favor was if I could use my whatever network so he could go meet former President Bush. And he was like a little girl and stuff. I mean, I'm like, why are you calling me after 25 years, man? You didn't call me when I needed your help. What? It was, oh, they screwed you over, man. You didn't say that then. Why are you saying it now? What do you want? I was like, I'm going to hang up on you. His name's Fred. I go, I'm going to hang up on you unless you spit it out. He goes, oh, well, I had another former colleague who had been remain nameless living with me at the time. And when he got my house, even him, he was one of my longest tenured partners there when I worked in gangs. And he told me all the stuff so Fred calls me, I take him up. He gets to meet President Bush or whatever. He's at the event, which is for a signing. And Fred, unbeknownst to me, had a book that he had written. And I was up there promoting, taking pictures around this place, which is like a Republican haven. I am not, well, the only politics I play is between good and evil. There's good cops, there's bad cops. There's good military, there's bad military. There's good religious people, there's bad religious people. There's good politicians, there's bad ones. That's the way I always been. Because I know I got to answer to the Lord himself. And I want to be straight. That's the top general. He gonna run this heaven on earth. It's all written, preordained. So I think about that. There's man law and there's divine law. When it comes down to it, if there's some kind of conflict, I'm going with the default with my creators. So anyway, this idiot, he's driving home with me, and I hope they see this video. And when you see it, if they have a dispute or they think I'm lying, tell him. Never mind. Never mind. Anyway, so he starts telling me all this stuff about Arnie. No, I don't believe it. He goes, oh no, I was the lead investigator, blah, 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 blah. I go, so he starts telling me how Arnie's, Scarface and he's Tony Montana and all this shit. And I'm like, I don't believe it. And he goes, oh no, I did, Paul. He did it. He did it. He did it. He did it. I said, I don't believe you. I know that family. And where's your report? I want to see it. And he was like, no. Then he tells me, I asked him a question. Now, this is a guy at the time, had 35 years as a police officer in Compton and the LA County Sheriff's. He was on the verge of retirement, I think, at the time. And when he told me that story, it didn't make sense because you don't need to be a cop. It didn't make sense. I'm like, if Arnie was dirty and you say he was Tony Montana slinging, why isn't Arnie in prison? Mm-hmm. Why does Arnie retired cop in good standing? Because Arnie's my friend. I love him like our brother. But if he'd have done what you said he did, he'd be in prison. I guarantee you he'd be in prison right now. His family would be, I would have put his ass in prison forever, especially being a cop. And they always enhance those if you're a cop. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, no, that's bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. So old Freddie boy, his eyes kind of welled up. And then he starts telling me about this other case that got reversed where he put another guy in prison that in the Supreme Court reversed it. So I'm like, oh, it doesn't sound like you're prison for murder, man. It doesn't sound like you're a very good investigator, man. Come on, Paul. Fuck you, motherfucker. You didn't call me for 25 years, and the only reason you called me is because you wanted something. And then he didn't even say thank you. He's mad like I did something to him. So I don't like that kind of stuff. That's not manhood. That's not truth. That's not light. So I got a little bit rough. So when I found out this information, when I moved I moved out of the country for about 10, 15 years. When I came back, I heard that story, and I didn't believe it. And the only reason I knew about it, I just happened to go to a memorial for Kevin at the Compton Police Department, which we'll probably go to after this because they still have pictures in there that I suspect the sheriffs probably want to take down. But at least they're up there now. I think they respect. They're going to respect the pictures and not take them down because they're renovating the lobby of the old Compton Police Department. So when where was I at? I forgot.
Going to the station. When you went to the memorial, you got back.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm totally remember this crap. So I go this and I was shaking. There's guys I hadn't seen in like 15 years. They're like, Mason, man, where you don't? I had only been to like one of them at that point. And then I was like, hey, where's the Arie? Because he's my homeboy. So they go, oh, you didn't hear about Arnie? Where you been? All this kind of crap. A lot of cops are just drama queens. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's some men and there's some kind of like less than men type that just got the uniform so they can have power over people. Like the kind that got their butt kicked. Like, how they used to say, oh, you probably got your butt kicked at school and you remember
your money taken away, your lunch money taken away, man.
But it's true. Some of them are like that. Yeah. So I was like, nah, I need Arnie's telephone right now. I got his telephone. I got him because I knew for a fact that they were after Arnie. They being the administration because they blamed him for something he didn't do. That's basically it. And I didn't like that. And that's exactly what happened to me. They smeared my whole name. Yeah. And if I was smart, I would have sued the city of Compton for defamation, and we'd be doing this interview in Tahiti. Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody be boom, 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 boom,
Compton Tahiti.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. I was what we call in the military battle fatigue, and a lot of cops have PTSD, and they need to do more. These cities that have police officers, good police officers. I'm just talking in general. I'm not talking about the bad ones. Mm-hmm. And they exist everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Okay, these good ones. Like in the military, we have to take 30 days off. And the job I had, like mental health, was required. You just like a cop, you're getting a shooting, mental health, you got to go see the site, right? Right? But my job in the Air Force, which I was still in the Air Force when I was in. They said I was a 5150 when they smeared me, but I'm like, I'm in the...
And nobody knew that. A lot of people didn't know that.
What?
That you were still in the Air Force.
No. Yeah, a lot of people didn't know, but I was like, but the chief knew because they did my background. They hired me. I said, okay, I'm 5150, but I got a top secret SCI in the United States Air Force. How does that happen? How does that happen?
You would think that would have raised some eyebrows and they would have said, oh, yeah, man, I can use Paul. Instead of trying to kick his legs from underneath.
They're evil, man.
They're evil.
They're telling me, whatever. The Lord protected me and he protected Arnie. He wanted us out of there. And anyway, so I got a hold of Arnie. We touched base after about 15 years. I told him what was up. And this other colleague, Fred, who I thought was cool, who tries to prosecute and smear campaign their own brother? They did it to me, and they did it to Arnie, and they did it to several other good cops in Compton that I know of personally. And it's always people like us that were standing up and telling the truth they wanted to get rid of because we were a threat to their corrupt empire. And it wasn't the whole police department. I want to say, I think we had 110 officers, 125 or something like that.
Yeah.
And most of them, I would say 98% of them were good guys, traditional, good family guys. And then we got the 2% that were corrupt and evil, and they're still lying to this day. That's why, thank God, Arnie's putting this stuff out on the internet so we can clear the record. And getting back to Mr. Federico, who I'm civil with, but I don't like that kind of stuff. And he wrote a book where he continued to smear Arnie. And Arnie, you got a golden heart because I don't know what to say about that. Because first of all, it's not true. It's defamatory and it's not true. And I think if any attorney that specializes in defamation hears this, I suggest that you get a hold of a Compton cop. I'm saying that on film because I don't care if you're black, white, Mexican, cholo, thug, president of the United States. I don't care. Good is good, bad is bad, you know, and that's it. The light and the truth is one side, the other side is dark and evil, okay? And what his family and our families have gone through after protecting this city for what, 2 generations?
Oh man.
Like 50 years or something, 100 years combined, maybe. I go, that to have Lowell, and I think they're just,
It's evil, man.
never mind. Huh?
It's very evil because even going back to Pablo's father, Red, and the stress they were putting him through, and Red telling Pablo, man, just stop, stop whatever what was happening, and it literally caused Red. Well, it was it was large portion what they did, was stress. It caused him to have a heart attack and die. Retire.
Yeah, retired.
You know,
A year later.
He died. And just disgusting, But Red knew what was going on, and it was wrong. And he would, because if you read when he would ask you questions, he would play devil's advocate. Well, you tell me here, what about this? Because that, and they would get fumbled up. Oh, well, I guess, right. Okay, well, let me kick back, and then you just come back and you tell me what's going on, and they would be stunned because they didn't think Red was that smart. They didn't understand. They weren't that smart themselves. Red smart. Right, Red was smart. Red was, yeah, and it just really get back, to my to hearing this book that was written, it was discouraging. It was, I was angry, and people. Not, I didn't buy the book. I'm not gonna,
What's called?
I don't
we're not
even
gonna
know.
mention it.
No, I don't
Is
even
it called
know.
17 Lies to Compton? Part 1.
The 50 Shades of Lies of
Starring
Compton,
the three Musketeers,
Yeah,
the Wright brothers, and Fred.
Yeah, and then the other one that was written by our elite gangs, but that's why I tell people over and over again, that's why I named my channel A Compton Cop, because there just wasn't the cops in Compton that did everything. Pablo was a Compton cop. I'm a Compton cop. We all took part in, arresting out here. The gang members, the drugs, the thugs, the guns off the street, stolen cars. Everybody took part. Not just certain people in the gang anymore. It was everybody that took part. But it was disgusting to hear that what he wrote, and he indicted me in the book, but even at the inside the book there was no vindication. There was no saying, hey man, or nothing like that. Hey, he didn't do anything wrong, or what I'm told. I didn't read it, and I'm not gonna read it. I'm not gonna buy it. And after that, and then there was that other book that was written by some gang officers, that I had my cousin was the president of the Gang Officers Association of California, and when they found out that the Wrights were indicted, arrested, and convicted, they tore that book off the shelf at the gang unit, at the gang conference of California, because he said we're not going to represent that. They're all they're
Crooks.
they're crooks.
That's
it, man. And
I get like right now when you say stuff like that, it's like I could feel my blood percolating. I'm cool, but the Lord protects me for 60 plus years. I'm an old man now. I don't have any more hair. I said my hair.
but the truth has to come out.
Yeah, the truth's got to come out. Me and Arnie, Lord has instructed us to bring light to the world, give our side of the story.
There are other things that are going to be coming out, being a broader picture.
And let me do a call. This is what we call. I'm gonna call Fred up. Fred, if you was truly a man, I know you're a Marine. I respect you for that. I know you were a cop for 35 years. I respect you for that. But you know you're not telling the truth when it comes to Arnie. You might have investigated, that's the truth, but the outcome that you're trying to project is completely defamatory. And if he was a man, you should write a very succinct letter of apology, certified, and send it to Arnie and his family.
Like, and the same goes to Pablo, man, with what they did to him here in the city, Erie Taylor, demanding us to arrest him if we saw him on the street. It should be, a letter should be written to him of apology of what they did to him. That's just ridiculous. A cop doing his job to find the killer that killed his best friend. And to have him arrested if we saw him out here in the street. Just sad, disgusting, so it's gotta, that's gotta happen, but thank you for tuning in. Talk to you soon.
You want to be a suspect. 1121, you're down, Cassie.